Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God!
Oh.
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what? Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV one final time for the Aussie Online Gaming Summer of GR86, the fifth round here at the Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst, New South Wales. What an arena to close off what has been a very exciting season of racing and one of the newest cars to be added to the iRacing service. And we have a champion to potentially crown here tonight. Bo Albert leading by 80 points in the championship, and we'll have to wait and see whether or not he has a solid night and is able to cap off that championship season. An excellent run there from Bo. To bring it to you all live here on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch is myself, Reese Gardner, and with me in the comms box is once again Braden Martin. Jay Kennedy, of course, behind the scenes, working away, bringing everything to you here on your selective streaming service. Well, Braden, Mount Panorama is a circuit that we've seen plenty of action at in the past week or so with the Oceanic Sim Racing Bathurst 12-hour. And, I mean, what can you say about this track that we haven't already said a million times over? It is Australia's foremost motor racing venue. It's a very famous track all around the world, and it's been operating for the better part of 90 years now. Really fantastic circuit based on technically public roads just outside Bathurst in New South Wales. The Mount Panorama Scenic Drive for most of the year. It's a track that is difficult to pass at, and it often races you more than you race it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and we're lucky enough tonight that we get 3 chances at potentially an epic finish like we had just a few days ago. A track that is full of risks, but also can bring with it a lot of reward if you have the courage to take on the mighty mountain.
Indeed. Main overtaking opportunities will be into Hell Corner, obviously, at turn 1. Griffin's Bend at turn 2. You might be able to sling one up the inside at the cutting in turns 3 and 4 if you're brave enough. Maybe into Forest Elbow too, but you've got the long Conrod straight to lose all of that momentum down and get slipstreamed back past on the way into the chase. And Murray's Corner, the last turn there. Final proper overtaking opportunity on the lap, but basically from the exit of the cutting all the way to the S's and the dipper and the run up to the elbow, it should be just single file running. At the very least, that's what it should be on paper, because these GR86 Cup cars are very raceable, and you can definitely sling one up the inside. They're small cars, they're slow, so they rely on momentum, but you can carry a lot of speed through the corners. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. And another nice and big field. You wouldn't want to get it wrong going across the top of the mountain, because it might be the track is blocked yet again.
Yeah, indeed. Big potential for track blocks here. 6.213 Ks and 23 turns, and the drivers will have to negotiate that 5 times in the first race, 7 laps in the second race, and 9 laps in race 3. Here's the championship standings coming into tonight. It's definitely on for second. Drop Bear Motorsports' Lachlan Capel only 4 points ahead of Cody Deeth, who unfortunately it seems is not here tonight, so won't be facing much of an issue there, Will Capel, unless he has a bad race tonight. Thomas Hinz in 4th in the championship as well. He is one of the drivers that has really come to the fore in the latter half of the season. He's got to try and avoid danger on his way through to there. Wayne Burke only 5 points ahead of Adam Briggs, and Eddie Beswick, most recent winner in the series, 268 points, 10 points ahead of Tom Freer. Those are the Pro Championship standings. Let's see how the AM Championship standings are looking, Brayden.
Yeah, it's a little bit tighter at the top, with tonight's race results going to really determine who manages to come away with this championship win. Of course, drop rounds have already been counted, which means all points tonight are final and on offer, apart from if they have any post-race penalties. So you can see at the top there, Matt Morris is leading the AM Championship standings after the first 4 rounds on 212 points, with a 16-point gap back to Shane Bowen on 196. Aiden Coote, Ryan Green and Gav Barber round out the top 5, with Callan Arthur, Dan Stevens, Joshua Thomas, Craig Anspatch and Josh Lane being the rest of your top 10 for the AM class standings.
And the drivers in qualifying at the moment, as we check out the team's championship standings, well, Synergy Sim Racing, Tom Freer and Wayne Burke, they have been doing incredibly well there. The Eclipse Sim Sports crew as well, Deeth and Matthew Hansford Taylor bringing up 2nd spot. We also see Capel and Broad only 20 points ahead of the second Synergy Sim Racing duo, ahead of Briggs and Brunt. And Eddie Beswick and Caleb Hides have dragged that Eclipse Sim Sports number 1 team to 6th place in the standings so far. Thomas Hinz, the only single car team in the top 10 apart from Game Aware Esports or Stuart Ellis. The fact that those drivers have managed to amass that many points racing by themselves really shows that they have some great talent behind them, and definitely representing their teams very well.
That's exactly right. And like we said just before, with the pro class standings, Bo Abbott just really has to have a steady night tonight to come through with the victory. I think from the calculations, he really only needs to finish 9th or better in tonight's 3 races. Speaking of tonight's 3 races, qualifying as usual, 3 laps solo qualifying before we head into 3 races, the first being 10 minutes long with a progressive grid for each race. So that means where you finish in race 1 is going to determine where you start the 15-minute race, race 2, and where you finish race 2 will be your gridding position for the 20-minute race 3. So again, that means you have to be thinking very hard about where you make your overtakes, because one mistake early on could make it a long night for you, Reese.
Yeah, that it could. And we check out the Zoom wall as well. We've got Gavin Barber up there in the top left, and going to the right, Isaac Edwards, Bo Albert, and Stuart Ellis. We've also got Patrick Harding, Tom Hinz, Hayden Bell, Daniel Stevens, and Sebastian Flock racing as well. And you'll notice that there are 2 heart rate monitors up here tonight. Daniel Stevens usually having his heart rate up on the screen, but we've got an extra guy joining us there on the Zoom wall with a heart rate monitor there, Braden.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me to see the heart rate jump very high, especially on the first lap as they leave the cutting and head their way up the mountain, because if they're bumper to bumper, one little mistake could make it all go wrong. But judging of the quality of this field and what we've seen so far this season, hopefully we can manage to get through that first lap without needing a safety car.
Yep, here's hoping. AOG, of course, running manual safety cars with the no escape rule in effect during the races. If there is a big enough incident and a driver cannot make it back to the pit lane under their own power, they have to stay where they are and request a tow from race control. If they're in a safe enough spot to be pulled off the track in a real world situation, then race control will allow them to do that. But if they're blocking the track or something like that, then the AOG safety cars will come out. The McLaren 570S GT4 is the one that Aussie Online Gaming uses, and unfortunately it looks like Hayden Bell is having some issues there with his webcam. We'll leave him to get that sorted out as qualifying is over. And have a look at if you just cut off, unfortunately. We'll get another chance to look at it, but Daniel Stevens has put 5 sausage rolls on his car's livery to represent the amount of times that he and Ryan Jones have come together this season. Here's the grid then for race 1. Bo Albert and Eddie Beswick are going to start on the front row here. Excellent time there from Albert, with Ben Holiday and Kobe Williams on row 2. Thomas Hinz and Rob Bowden round out the top 6. Starting in 7th is going to be John Merritt, who drove in the OSR Bathurst 12-hour last weekend. Matthew Boylett, Matthew Hansford-Taylor, and Lachlan Cable will round out the top 10. AM-class pole position goes to Aidan Coote, who starts alongside Bailey Sweeney in 12th.
Off of the 7th row is current championship leader Matt Morris for the AM class, with Tom Freer alongside him. Dan Stevens and Gav Barber will be taking off from the 8th row of the grid, with Josh Fitt and Stuart Ellis in P17 and 18. Craig Anspach and Max Christensen will be on the 10th row, with Shane Bowen and Isaac Nichols in 21st and 22nd. Josh Lane and Sam Lehman will be coming off the 12th row.
Pat Oliver and Ryan Green start alongside each other on row 3, and then on row 13, sorry. Then we got Matthew Brunt and Callan Arthur sharing the 14th row. Chris Barnes and Joshua Thomas are 29th and 30th on the grid. Then we got Jorgen Smith and Gavin Innes, Isaac Edwards versus Patrick Harding, and then Sebastian Flock and Hayden Veld. Unfortunately, not getting good times in qualifying, with Liam Hydes, Tyson Broad, and Ryan Jones bringing up the rear. Looks like you've registered as a driver, Braden. Orkies with Dan Yeaman and Matthew Kefford being race control here in this session. So, gridding time is hitting 0. The revs will rise. Looks like we're going to get a good start here as the final round is go for AOG Summer of GR86. And that is a good start from Bo Albert. He has managed to clear Eddie Beswick very nicely. Slotting into 3rd is Ben Holiday, side by side for 5th with Thomas Hinz. And really coming up now on Rob Bowden, and John Merritt is trying his best to get an advantage there as well. The slipstream already coming into effect, plus Hinz's tight exit out of Hell Corner means that he is not able to fight for that position just yet. Over the rise on Mountain Straight for the first time, and we come into Griffin's Bend at turn 2. Nice wide line on the way in. Hansford Taylor drawing up closer to Thomas Hinz here, as it seems that a couple of gaps are starting to form already. Eddie Beswick is under massive pressure from Ben Holiday and has actually run wide through the cutting, and that could give an advantage to Holiday as they make their way up the mountain.
Yeah, and they all seem to be playing pretty nicely so far. Lots of single file and not too many people showing the nose, especially now that we go up the mountain for the first time. What I'm really interested to see is how is Dan Stevens and Ryan Jones going to come together when Ryan has started so far back tonight?
Yeah, interesting. Well, considering how often they have found each other on the same bit of racetrack before, that's bound to happen at some point tonight as they come down into the S's. Bo Albert leads by 1.2 seconds. He's had a magnificent first lap so far as everyone tried to sort themselves out behind him, mostly single file on the way down to Forest Elbow, though we do see this is quite the fight going on here for Lachlan Cable in 10th place, and that is a move up the inside there for Bailey Sweeney. Unfortunately, not able to get the run out of Forest Elbow. The slipstream will come into effect, though, as Aidan Coote now has to start looking over his shoulder. See what kind of an advantage the slipstream gives people down Conrod Straight. Bailey Sweeney looking at 11th place here behind these guys. Side by side into the chase, and Sweeney actually defending 11th and getting past there. Matt Morris moves his way up into 11th, and Sweeney, goodness me. Oh, no, that's Tom Freer that's gone off there, unfortunately. Look at all these packs that are starting to form already. A 5-car fight here with Hinz, Bowden, Hansford Taylor, and Matthew Boylett as well, all fighting over the same bit of racetrack here. Boylett goes middle, and Hinsey up the inside into Hell Corner. Gets a slight exit. There's small contact between Hansford Taylor and Bowden, and an excellent exit from Lachlan Capel. He is going to bring himself right into this fight as they come down to Griffins.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bit of a worry if they manage to try and go 3 wide up here into turn 2. We all know how hard it is to get it done on the outside, but they do pair off into a 2x2. I know where I'd rather be, and that's where Thomas Hinz is currently sitting nicely on the inside. Oh, and that's exactly why you don't want to be on the outside. It's just no grip out there, especially in a long race like we saw on the Bathurst 12 hour on the weekend. Once any kind of marbles and things get chucked up on the outside. Oh, as we've got someone around that looks like Cullen Arthur as well, just before the cutting. That's a very slow moving car, and if he can't get that up the hill, we might see a safety car.
We might indeed. Matthew Hansford Taylor now in the midst of this fight here with Aidan Coote, as Bailey Sweeney has made his way past Coote. Slight bit of damage, it seems, on Aidan's front right quarter here. And side by side on the way into the S's doesn't really work. So Hansford Taylor is given that position, and Coote is going to have another run at him down Conrod. Oh, okay, that's Rob Bowden that's gone around there, and he is missing his bonnet and crabbing massively. That's going to be awkward for drivers coming down into the elbow. Got to take it easy here. We'll see again what happened to Callan Arthur. He was sent into the wall, it seems. Yeah, it looks like some pretty heavy contact there, just right in the midst of a very close battle. And we do have, for contact with car 32, Sam Lehman has been given a black flag. Bowden lost it by himself through the dipper, and that's the reason why he is trundling down Conrod Straight. On the bottom of your screen here is the replay. So Bowden was behind Hinz, but then just got the line slightly wrong, and as he came through the dip, well, as he came into the dip actually, the rear end just went on him. Massive contact with the wall.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll be able to grab a replay of it maybe a little bit later, but Tom Freer did something almost identical on the first lap in the exact same spot, and he got a massive wiggle and managed to save it the first time. But whoa, we've got chaos right near the pit entry. There's cars everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Already got cars coming into the pits here. Oh no, it's Ryan Jones that's gone around, and that also involved Chris Barnes too. That did not look good there on the exit. Jones lost it by himself and spun across that pack of cars as it is on here. Kobe Williams in the bright green machine, and oh no, that looks like Lachlan Capel around. No, that's not Capel. That is Ben Holiday, my apologies, getting my drop bear cars confused there. Just slight contact through Griffin's Bend resulted in a bit of bouncing and a spin. And actually, it looks like Eddie Beswick, you know, I mean, he was holding his line on the outside of the corner, but unfortunately, Holiday not able to do much.
Yeah, and I don't know how they'll be able to get that car moved. I think that might possibly be a safety car, although it is pretty late in the race. I did mention at the start of the race, Reese, that they were playing pretty nicely, but over the next couple of laps, that's certainly changed.
Yeah, it absolutely has. Things getting very interesting here at Mount Panorama, and interesting for the lead as well, because Eddie Beswick is now right on the back of Bo Albert, and he has dragged Kobe Williams up there with him. So Bo did have a great lead coming out of lap 1, but it has been eliminated. The slipstream working very nicely for the Eclipse Sim Sports boys here as we catch another incident for Josh Lane. Oh, he lost it on the way into the chase and very nearly went into the back of Sebastian Flock there. But into the gravel he goes, and out of the grass he will emerge back onto the racetrack right in front of a pack of cars. So, fortunately, no big incidents there, but not much to be gained from with that issue. This lap is going to be the white flag lap as they come across the start-finish line with 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. A lap in the GR86 takes about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, as that is Daniel Stevens with an issue. Seems at the chase.
See those sausage rolls? Yeah, it was at the chase. And yeah, although they haven't come together with each other, both Ryan Jones and Dan Stevens have had their issues, unfortunately, in this race. I think he just got a little bit loose on the exit of the chase and he's lost the rear. I think he might have ended up in the grass, which definitely hasn't helped, as Kobe Williams looks to have a look up the outside, but thinks better of it into turn 2. This is your lead pack of Bo Albert, Eddie Beswick, and Kobe Williams as they make their way, presumably going to be single file up the mountain, unless someone makes a late dive, which they do. That's Eddie Beswick, who goes and slips his way up the inside, and you can only half think, oh, Kobe Williams has made his way through as well. You can only probably think, Reese, that Bo Albert's thinking, I only need to finish in 9th or above for all of these races. I'm happy to take a 3rd here.
Yeah, it was a very big dive into the cutting by Eddie Beswick. With Bo Albert, crucially, now in 3rd, he will have the slipstream from both of the Eclipse cars coming onto Conrod, so he's got to make sure that he stays in touch with these guys.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The slipstream's so powerful and gives you a chance to make a move into the chase, but I don't know if you want to be 3rd. That might make it a little bit more difficult, especially with 2 teammates in front of you.
Yeah, definitely could be a big ask for Bo Albert to retake victory from here, and with him getting into the wall on the exit of Forest Elbow, that has put paid to that. So now it's Eddie Beswick versus Kobe Williams for race victory here. How aggressive is Kobe going to be? Remember, Beswick is fighting up at the top end of the championship standings, so can't afford to have a coming together with Williams here, but the slipstream is on, and Beswick will go defensive into the chase. Williams is ahead in the braking zone, and they're going to go side by side through the chase. They give each other room. That's brought Bo Albert right back into it. They could go 3 wide on the way into Murray's corner here. Albert has nowhere to go. The gap did not open in time. Will Beswick have one final lunge up the inside of Williams? Yes, he will. And they come together. A little bit of contact, but they finish in that order. Kobe Williams is the first winner of the night, with Eddie Beswick and Bo Albert completing the podium. Fantastic racing there. Thomas Hinz is going to come home in 4th ahead of John Merritt and Lachlan Capel. Excellent stuff.
We almost had an incident coming out of the last turn just a moment ago, but all is well, as we see the number... Ooh, no numbers on that one. 26 car. Sorry about that. Could not make out the numbers on my screen. And the final finishes start to come out of that final turn. That was an action-packed race, Reese.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was unfortunate for a few drivers, though. Bowden competing in the top 6, as was Ben Holiday. Both of those drivers end up coming home outside the top 30. And we have Patrick Harding here, who's still coming through to take the checkered flag. Currently the last running driver on the circuit, as Callan Arthur comes home in 34th place on the line. And now there's still a bit of, oh dear. Okay, this final lap, Harding has not been able to make it there cleanly. We'll see if he can get it back going again, but this is going to be a long tour to the start-finish line for our last finisher. You can already see that car's suspension is completely out of whack.
Yes, it's not ideal that you want to have that happen on your last lap while you're already quite far behind the field, but he looks like he's going to be able to slowly but surely bring the 193 car home, as he's probably got a pack of people chasing him to come down and do the world-famous jump.
Well, technically he is still racing, so I don't think he'll be able to get that done, and even if he was inclined to do it, he's not able to get as much straight line speed as he otherwise would. So he will trundle towards the finish line here. 1 minute and 30 remains on the clock before we switch over to race 2. He should have enough time to get to the start finish line and record a finish from there. No need to go through the grid for race 2 because grids are cumulative for these races, and drivers will start exactly where they finish in the previous race. So Williams, Beswick, Albert, Hinz and Merritt are your top 5, with Capel, Boylett, Hanser, Taylor and Sweeney bringing up the top 9, and Aiden Coote taking AM-class victory.
Yeah, good job by Aiden there to convert that pole into a win. Matt Morris takes the 2nd spot on the podium for the AM class, with Josh Fitt, Tom Freer, Stuart Ellis and Matthew Brunt in the top 15. Gav Barber claims that final position on the AM class podium in P16, with Craig Anspatch, Jane Bowen and Pat Oliver in P17, 18 and 19, and Sebastian Flock rounds out your top 20.
Finishing in 21st was Hayden Veld, Tyson Broad, Max Christensen behind them. Josh Lane and Isaac Nichols round out the top 5. Then we got Josh Thomas, Jürgen Smith, Isaac Edwards, Gavin Ninnis and Sam Lehman rounding out the top 30 finishers.
And Rob Bowden in P31, Ryan Green, Dan Stevens, who we saw having some issues, Callan Arthur, Patrick Harding is your last car on your lead lap, just although he was almost 3 minutes behind. Ben Holiday, Ryan Jones, Chris Barnes, all 1 lap down, with Liam Hydes, unfortunately, an early retirement.
Yeah, that is a shame there for Hydes. It actually looks like he didn't take the start. He also didn't take place in qualifying either. So, no running for Liam Hydes tonight, it seems. But now we can get ready for the consolation race, the 7-lapper second race before the feature. While we're waiting for drivers to grid up, here's what happened to Dan Stevens on the exit of the chase. Looks like he had Sweeney behind him, and Stevens just went off all by himself and over the grass. That car is not very controllable, unfortunately, and big damage for good measure.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Just looked like he ran a little bit deep into the chase, but then really struggled with the rejoin. It just went straight back across the grey stuff and onto the other slippery grass on the other side.
So, 2 penalties from race control for that one. The drive-through for Sam Lehman for contact with Callan Arthur on lap 2. That's the incident that we saw. And 15-second time penalty for Josh Lane for an unsafe rejoin at the chase. We are on board with Ben Holiday to see here what went on. And down into Griffin's Bend they come, and oh yeah, there we go. That was huge contact there.
Yeah, that was a solid hip and shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely it was. A big shame for quite a few drivers in that first race, but now we can reset and get ourselves ready for race 2 here. So before we do though, second look on board here from Kobe Williams at that incident. So Callan Arthur, Ben Holiday and Sam Lehman. Yeah, that's an interesting incident there, because you want to keep out of the wall on the exit of Griffin's Bend, but coming off that curb, it's very easy to get into the path of a car who's trying to get up the inside on the exit. So contact almost inevitable there.
Yeah, it's such a tricky spot of the track. It's so easy for any kind of passing maneuver to go very, very wrong, but it's also one of the main passing opportunities, and that's what makes Bathurst such a great track. There's such a high risk versus reward value on just about every time you try and make a move.
All right. So 1.5 minutes remain here on the grid timer. We already have Williams and Beswick out on the grid at the moment. Bo Albert has enough of a championship lead that he doesn't have to worry too much about getting top results here tonight. As we check out the standings after that first race, Albert, 87 points ahead of Lachlan Capel. Beswick still in third place. He's actually, it's very close there between he and Hins there. Have to say that if Hins is able to get a good race here in race 2, then he might be able to just nab third in the championship from Eddie Beswick. But that remains to be seen, because Beswick is looking very good here tonight.
Yeah, and you could see that Matt Morris was still holding a solid lead over, I think it was Shane Bowen for the AM class race for the title as well. So 15-minute race this time around, a little bit of extra time to get a move done, so maybe a little bit more patience shown, but if we know anything about Bathurst and slow cars, it's normally action-packed.
Indeed. Under 10 seconds remain on the grid timer now. Let's see what kind of start Thomas Hins can get to try and make an impression on the top 3. Can John Merritt put himself up in there too, in the red car on the right-hand side? Eclipse 1 and 2 off the front row. It's going to be led by Kobe Williams. Bit of wheel spin there for John Merritt off the start, but that has gotten a magnificent start for him, and he moves into 4th. Thomas Hins getting a very sluggish run off the line. That's going to bring Lachlan Capel into 4th place. Oh no! Oh, that's Beswick. Beswick has gone off at turn 1. He is sprawled across the track. Drivers are going to have to go every which way there to avoid him, and it looks like most of them have. But Lachlan Capel did collect him a little bit. That has ruined his run down the straight. Just got passed by Sweeney, who gets bumped off by Aidan Coote, who was trying to go 3 wide with Matthew Boylan on the inside, and into the wall goes Bailey Sweeney. Massive damage for that car coming into Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, Bailey Sweeney hit that side wall there at least 5 or 6 times. Interestingly to note, with that Eddie Beswick incident, Thomas Hins did just scrape through. He was very close to being collected by Eddie Beswick, as we were just talking about before. That has big implications for 3rd place in the championship.
Indeed it does. Man, I only just mentioned that close gap between Beswick and Hins, and now the gap will swing truly in Thomas Hins' favour. Back to the lead though, Bo Albert right on the rear bumper of Kobe Williams as they come into McPhillamy Park. Pretty much flat out through this corner in the GR86 Cup car, which is insane to think about. But they got to be careful coming down through the S's. This is a very tail-happy car. It's one that you've got to keep very close control of, otherwise things are going to go very wrong. Here's what happened to Eddie Beswick on the bottom of the screen, and it looks like it was actually, he lost it on his own there, it seems, from that angle at least, out of the first corner. The outside line not working to his favour there, as there were plenty of near misses as the pack came through.
Yeah, you have to say, with the positioning of Eddie Beswick there, the field's actually done a pretty good job to go through there relatively unscathed. Oh no.
And Rob Bowden is wedged in the wall on the exit of the Dipper. Couple of big incidents here. That's Stuart Ellis that has come a cropper in Forest Elbow. Stuart Ellis has announced that he can get back to the pits, but Rob Bowden won't be able to. His car is actually stuck in wall, and the safety car has been called.
And Aiden Coots around as well. This is all kicking off, and Matt Morris is in the sand as well. This is all high championship standings in both the Pro and AM class.
Goodness
both
me.
all over the place. We're going to have a lot to unpack from this first lap.
Absolutely, we are. Looks like the contact from Matt Morris and Lachlan Capel happened when Capel went off at the exit of the chase and re-entered the racetrack into the rear quarter of Morris as Aiden Coote was spinning just up ahead of them. We're going to get another view of that. Actually, we'll get a view here of what took out Bailey Sweeney. Yeah, Aiden Coote just moving into the middle there and whacking the car off the track. I did hear him say over in sim voice chat that he had no spotter, so he wasn't quite sure that Sweeney was alongside him. Very unfortunate, but the field gets a bit of a reset now with the safety car out on track. And Bo Albert is the one leading the race. He actually got past Kobe Williams while we were focusing on all of the other carnage happening throughout the field. Here's what happened to Rob Bowden. Issues at the dipper once again. That is not a good corner for him. And he just goes straight into the wall. No way to get out of that. Looks like Isaac Edwards having a spin as well for good measure. And there's what happened to Stuart Ellis. Ellis lost it on his own on the way into Forest Elbow. Matt Morris we focus on now. Oh no, this is actually live pictures we're taking a look at the moment. It's just been said that the safety car will be in at the end of this lap, Braden.
Yeah, and we get to go green racing all over again. And if this first lap after the safety car is anything like the first lap of the race, we're going to have our hands full yet again as we look at a replay of Matt Morris and Lachlan Capel. As we were saying before, Capel does leave the track and then cops the back of Matt Morris on re-entry. I don't know if Racing Control is going to look too fondly upon that one for Lachlan, but guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that we will. We'll get a better view of that from the blimp shot. Watch the yellow car going off. And then back onto the track comes Lachlan Capel. That is pretty much dead set unsafe re-entry in my book. So we'll see what Race Control have to say about that one. Down Conrod Straight we come. The safety car is pulling away from the field. Dan Yeaman, race administrator, currently in that safety car. He's chatting to the drivers as he makes his way back to the pits, just giving them the lowdown on what they need to do. Leader has to maintain 80 k's an hour, and there's no passing or overlaps allowed before the start-finish line. So,
if you have a look on the right-hand side of our screen there, Reese, Thomas Hinds on the live points hasn't just claimed third, he's actually claimed second.
That is magnificent there from Thomas Hinds. Another spot gained for him because Cody Deeth is not here tonight, and then there's only 13 points in it for the AM class lead as well. As you can see, Matt Morris getting breathed down his neck by Shane Bowen, who's currently in 10th spot. So plenty of changes there in other places in the standings, but not for the championship lead, because Bo Albert is going to lead the way here and potentially maintain his 80-plus point lead as they come into Murray's Corner. When does Albert decide to go? He goes just after the apex. Nice orderly start there. Looks like Thomas Hinds has gotten a good exit, and he's actually having to go defensive here, trying to get past John Merritt. But Matthew Boylett is going to go around the outside here into turn one. No, he's not. Big contact there, and Hinsey comes into contact with him.
Yeah, so I think we might have jinxed him, Reese. As soon as we mentioned that he's jumped up the standings, it seems to have all come unstuck. Although thankfully he is still continuing his way up the mountain straight, and hopefully he can add some more points back on that tally. Although he is currently 3 wide as we ride on board with Shane Bowen, and you can see that heart rate is certainly well above 100 now, and I expect it to get even higher if these cars in front of him continue to fight as he tries to make his way, hopefully, nicely up the mountain, but it looks like we might have too wide into the cutting. No, we slide in, and the DPR car there makes a nice choice to slot in behind, and now we probably will be single file up the mountain, except someone there's got, is that
Sebastian
was,
Flocky,
yeah,
goodness.
nicely up the inside. Oh no.
Well, further issues for Thomas Hinz on the exit of the cutting, and he has to stop and wait. It's a big shame there for Hinsey. Oh no! It's car 074, that's Chris Barnes for Tanked SRT, upside down. Coming up to, I think that's Reed Park that he stopped at. And that happened because of Thomas Hinz's spin.
Sorry, Reese, we've had more. Oh no, there's more incidents in the
There's
dipper
too much
as well.
happening here to keep track of, honestly.
Yeah.
This race has just gone completely insane. Albert has lost the lead to Williams and now is under a lot of pressure from John Merritt for second place. I can tell you that it was contact between Lehman and Barnes that sent Barnes off. And this is the replay of it, as yes, the safety car has been called. And it actually looks like Barnes went into Lehman. He was taking avoiding action because Thomas Hinz was backing onto the racing line at that point.
Yeah, we just saw a snippet of that in the live pictures when we saw Hinz. He just made that little move backwards, which forced the car coming through just to jink to the right a little bit. And unfortunately, there was no chance of them getting that car back safely when it's sitting on its roof.
Oh, dearie me. Well, safety car will control the field here. Kobe Williams is making his way into the lead.
Yeah, someone needs to control it at the moment. I think, if anything, it's lucky our producers been putting together some new parts on the computer, because it'd be definitely working in overdrive trying to catch all this action.
All right. Here's Bailey Sweeney coming down through the S's alongside car number 4 of Gavin Ninnes. And, well, side by side into the dipper isn't going to work at the best of times, so that's why he was sent around and got further contact as well for good measure. Ninnes, I think, might have had the right to the inside of the corner there, but, yeah, I don't know. Have a look at the live points, meanwhile, Braden. With that huge issue for Thomas Hinz, he has fallen back down to 6th in the championship after being in 4th coming into this round.
Yeah, I feel like I need to apologize to poor Hinzy, because I don't think I could have cursed him anymore. That's a big drop, but it just goes to show, apart from Bo Albert, how tight the points are in this field. One little mistake, and because of such a large field, it's going to drop you a lot of points, and it's very, very costly. And it looks like we have a new AM class leader as well, Reese, with Shane Bowen now 7 points clear of the 996. Sorry, 966.
Yeah, Matt Morris suffering the issues that he has. He is still out on track, is Matt Morris. And doesn't look like he has any damage on the car. However, that AM Class Championship lead is slipping away from him here. He'll have to get things together in race 3. So we're expecting that this is going to be another one-lap safety car now, with everyone having been cleared off the circuit. It means that this is going to be a one-lap dash to the finish. We'll probably cross the line with maybe a minute and a half remaining, if not 2 minutes. So Bo Albert, if he wants this victory, he's going to have to drive the wheels off that car, not just to pass Kobe Williams, but also to keep this guy, John Merritt, behind him.
Yeah, no time in this race for a green-white checker. We're just going straight for a white checker. So don't think I've ever seen that one in the rules anywhere, but it just happens to be what we're left with for this race 2. And again, like we said just before, if the other two one-lap sprints we've managed to have in this race or anything to go by, we might have a lot more action.
Yeah. There'll be drivers who will not be able to see what's going on ahead of them here due to the nature of the track. So any incidents that happen up at the pointy end of the field will have big implications for everyone else behind them. So let's cross our fingers and hope that everyone is able to keep it clean here on this final one-lap dash for the second race of the night. Merritt's done quite well, 5th to 3rd, but Tom Freer just behind him having an even better race. Started 13th and is now up to 4th. Also seeing that there's been good runnings for Matthew Brunt, Josh Fitt and Sebastian Flock, as well as Gavin Barber, who's just snuck into the top 10. Now, we wait for the drop of the green flag. We wait for Kobe Williams to control the field and put the power down coming out of Murray's corner. Bo Albert will keep very close to him here. He'll be right on it. But Williams goes a little bit later and catches them by surprise. Bo Albert is bogged down a little bit off that rolling start. Merritt behind him, but not going to make a move into turn 1. There is going to be a move for the Eclipse car of Hansford Taylor. He is given room by Tom Freer, and room is given back, and the tight exit means he's going to lose another position to Matthew Brunt there. So slipstream packs form. There's quite a big pack just behind Craig Anspatch. Got Aidan Coote, Max Christensen, Isaac Nichols, Matthew Boylett, and Ben Holiday with him as well. You just see them at the top of the frame there as they make their way into Griffin's Bend. Nice clean runnings for the leaders. Can they all make it through Griffin's Bend cleanly? Looks like for drivers in the top 20 at least that is the case. But now the cutting, if you're side by side into here, it is almost a recipe for disaster, guaranteed.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We've seen it time and time again. When any kind of cars come to the mountain, that's not a place you want to be going too wide too often. But it looks like they've managed to calm themselves down and filter in single file and keep it clean for this first half of this last lap. I was actually a little bit surprised. There could have been a few drivers with a little bit of the red mist hanging over them from those two safety cars and plenty of incidents in between them, but it looks like they've managed to get through pretty safely so far.
Indeed, Hayden Veld and Sebastian Flock both on screen there. Flock in the ERT Logitech car. And Veld here in the Synergy Sim Racing machine, as that is a huge crash at Forest Elbow. That's Gavin Barber that has gotten unstuck in a massive way, and it looks like that was contact with Aidan Coote. Rear-ended him on the way into the corner and got sent into the wall. But there won't be a safety car here as Bo Albert versus Kobe Williams here at the front of the field. Albert got the slipstream. He is ahead coming into the chase. He covers him a little bit, but Williams dives back under brakes. They make contact. Bo Albert almost gets off the circuit. Can John Merritt steal second here? Take it easy, guys. That's Sebastian Flock going off, I think, in the background. Williams will lead into Murray's corner. Albert on the racing line. He's going to try and preserve second here. It looks like John Merritt's just going to take second place there. Williams, 2 from 2 here at Mount Panorama.
Wow, what an ending. There's a big smash on Conrad Straight as well, but he's got someone reversing along the line.
Seb Flock.
And two wheels.
All right. That was Eddie Beswick there, coming together with, it looks like, Matt Morris.
I'm out of words, Reese.
Yeah, I am too. I'm out of brain fuel as well. That's what Mount Panorama does to a man. Well, that is checkered flag, and we can go through the results. Williams from Merritt from Albert. Brilliant stuff there at the finish, though I don't know how Bo Albert will feel about the contact coming out of the chase. Tom Freer comes home in 4th. Matthew Hansford Taylor rounds out the top 5. That's a good run from him. Same goes for Matthew Brunt from 15th to 6th. Josh Fitt from 12th to 7th. Hayden Veld coming home in 8th spot after starting outside the top 20. That's a massive finish there for him. Shane Bowen takes the M-Class victory and moves into the M Championship lead with Tyson Broad running out the top 10 after starting 22nd.
Absolutely, plenty of big movers in the field in this race. Aiden Coote in P11 with Ben Holliday starting 36th and moving his way up to 12th position. Matthew Boyle at P13, Isaac Nichols P14, and Max Christensen in P15. Craig Anspach, Ryan Jones, after not a great first race, managed to get himself up the field from 37th up to 17th. Lachlan Capel into a lot of action in that race as well, unfortunately, and Pat Oliver, Josh Lane rounding out your top 20.
Finishing in 21st was Gavin Ninez after the coming together through the Dipper with Bailey Sweeney, with Sebastian Flock crossing the line backwards in 22nd place. Unfortunate for him there. Dan Stevens gaining 10 spots though, moving up to 23rd. Matt Morris facing his issues, has to settle for 24th in the end, and Callan Arthur up to 25th. Eddie Beswick, after going off at turn 1, 26th place for him. Isaac Edwards, Sam Lehman, Stuart Ellis, and Rob Bowden round out the top 30 finishers.
Joshua Thomas in P31 and Gav Barber, after that incident towards the end of the race, can only manage P32. Jorgen Smith, Patrick Harding, and Thomas Hinds, who we saw come from a potential second place in the championship, finding himself down in 35th. Chris Barnes is your last car on the lead lap in P36, with Ryan Green, Bailey Sweeney, and Liam Hydes, who we said earlier did not manage to take the race, all laps down.
Indeed. Well, that is going to be the first part of the night done, but we are going to check out a replay here to see what happened to Thomas Hinds coming through here. Oh, that's why Hinsey got into the wall. Morris, it looked like, with a very big spin up ahead of him, and there was nothing Hinsey could do to avoid that. Very unfortunate. So that's what's lost Hinsey fourth in the championship for now, at least. Another replay from the outside. Morris and one of the Eclipse cars. Yeah, Hinds unfortunately could not get past, and Morris squeezed a little bit on the exit as well. So that's going to end things for races 1 and 2. But we're going to go on a very quick break here on SimSpeed TV with only 3 minutes remaining in the session, and we will bring you the 20-minute third and final race of the season here in the AOG Summer of GR86. You're watching SimSpeed TV, the final round of the Aussie Online Gaming Summer of GR86 from Mount Panorama. We've already had two very chaotic races here. I'm joined by Braden Martin in the comms box with Jake Kennedy behind the scenes on production duties. Well, we are now gearing up for the final race of the night, and our Zoom wall is as full as usual. We've got Shane Bowen up there in the top left with his heart rate monitor, just having taken the M-Class Championship lead. We'll be keeping an eye on that heart rate, absolutely, with Isaac Edwards, Stuart Ellis and Patrick Harding on the top row. Thomas Hinz, Hayden Veld, Dan Stevens and Gav Barber on row 2. And then Sebastian Flock and championship leader Bo Albert, champion-elect, taking up the final couple of spots on the bottom row. We'll check in with these drivers if we can throughout the course of the race to see how they do. Let's go to the grid then as we go into the final race session here at the magnificent Mount Panorama circuit. Kobe Williams won both races so far tonight. He's going for a third. Starts alongside John Merritt. Bo Albert shares the second row with Tom Freer, and Matthew Hansford-Taylor and Matthew Brunt round out the top 6. In 7th place, Josh Fitt with Hayden Veld starting alongside him. Shane Bowen, the first of our AM cars, starting in 9th spot with Tyson Broad rounding out the top 10. Aidan Coote and Ben Holiday on the 6th row. Braden?
Yeah, I think we might have to leave the rest of the starting grid there, as we've got about 7 seconds before this third and final race gets underway, and Kobe Williams will be leading us off again.
Indeed he will. Here we go then. Taking our leaders in. Kobe Williams off the line here. John Merritt starting just behind him. Who gets the better start? It's more wheel spin there from John Merritt. And a very clean start from Bo Albert. He'll draw alongside Merritt coming into the first turn. So this could be a change for second already. It is indeed. Merritt saw Albert coming and let him go. Diving up the inside of Matthew Hansford-Taylor went Matthew Brunt in the white Synergy machine, who now takes up that 5th position. And it looks like pretty much everyone, no, just as I say it, we have a spinner at the exit of turn 1. Unfortunately, looks like that's Patrick Harding, and Jorgen Smith, excuse me, also very slow off the start. He actually made contact with Gavin Barber coming through Murray's corner. The field is so big here that the grid actually goes around the final corner. So unfortunate there for Jorgen Smith, but far from that position. We see plenty of fast and hard racing coming up through the cutting. Kobe Williams leading by half a second.
Yeah, and again, it looks like Kobe Williams and Bo Albert trying to get a breakaway from John Merritt, but as we said earlier, the slipstream's so strong at this track and in these cars that it's going to keep them all pretty close together, and that's going to give us a lot of close racing, which we've certainly had tonight. John Merritt's having a really consistent and calm night as we take a look at the cars coming across Skyline and dropping themselves down through the S's, and you can just see how close Bo Albert is to the tail of Kobe Williams there.
Yeah, very close indeed. We also see a gap there a little bit ahead of Matthew Brunt. Looks like Hansford-Taylor putting some big pressure on him here as he had made the pass, and Brunt is off into the wall on Forest Elbow, spins across the front of Hansford-Taylor, and this could be awkward. More contact there. Oh dear. Oh, Shane Bowen involved. He is off. Oh, that is bad. That is bad. Don't get going too quickly, guys. Got to wait for people to go by. Jesus. Okay.
There's another car on the roof, Reese.
Oh no, we're going to see another safety car.
Oh, and they're still crashing down Conrod Straight.
My
and
goodness.
in the meantime, Bo Albert's taken the lead.
He has indeed. Shane Bowen, of course, involved in that. There's quite a bit to dissect. Safety car is out. Bo Albert taking the lead away from Kobe Williams. It's John Merritt and Tom Freer following them in 3rd and 4th there at the front of the field. Oh, lordy. Well, it didn't take long for a big race-altering incident to happen, and it all started from Matthew Brunt going a bit too deep into Forest Elbow. There's Tyson Broad on his roof.
Yeah, it's never good when you're seeing a second or a third car on their roof in one night, Reese, and it's pretty much felt like a string of one-lap dashes tonight, really. We've had race start and safety car and restart and safety car, and here we are with another safety car. And if there's a sight we haven't seen a lot already of this season, it's certainly Bo Albert leading around a pack of cars behind that McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, plenty to dissect as the replay's getting queued up now. We'll be able to take another look at that. And if Brunt, of course, yeah, going too deep and then gets back onto the track. Shane Bowen takes avoiding action and gets into Aiden Coote as we focus in on Tyson Broad. He was sent way off there. And that is why you don't take the grass down Conrod Straight, because all those strips of tarmac off to the side, they're people's driveways.
Yeah, it's certainly an ambitious place to put your Toyota 86, and it definitely has not paid off there for Tyson Broad. It's we're going to take a look on board Shane Bowen, who is just in behind that mess as at first start. You can see ahead of him the car gets spun and swings back across. He tries to take avoiding action, but unfortunately clips and then gets rear-ended and then spins and then tries to take off. And this is where we both went, oh no, you've got to wait.
Yeah,
and he clips the car stationary as well, just for good measure. So that's a lot for race control to unpack there, Reese.
Yeah, and the difficulty there for Shane Bowen was he was actually slowing down as he saw Brunt ahead of him, but Aiden Coote had already switched to the inside line, and so I don't think, I'm not too sure if Bowen thought he'd be able to make it past without also contacting Aiden Coote. Unfortunately, both of those things ended up happening.
Now, I don't know if I should draw attention to this or not, Reese, but if we have a look over at the timing tower, the live points tower rather, on the right hand side, we're back to having another leader in the AM class. Matt Morris has now jumped back ahead of Shane Bowen in P11 there to take the M class lead.
Yeah, and that's another big point swing. Bowen has managed to get his damage repaired and he's re-emerged in 27th spot. Matt Morris, meanwhile, up in 16th. Now, it might seem like there's quite a few positions in between Bowen and Morris there, but we've seen how chaotic the racing is in this series, at this track in particular. So every chance that Bowen might be able to pass Morris again if something big happens in Morris's area of the field, as the field slows down behind the safety car.
Yeah, and if you take your eyes and look to the pro standings as well, Lachlan Capel snuck back into second position, and now Tom Freer has the last spot on the podium in third. So we're just having lots of swings and roundabouts tonight with this table and the amount of chaos that we've had.
All right. Well, yeah, there is Shane Bowen down in 27th spot. He's got Max Christensen up ahead of him and many more drivers besides. Albert, meanwhile, made the move on Kobe Williams coming into the chase. And that was a fairly straightforward slipstream maneuver before the safety car was called. And John Merritt remains in third, so could be an outside shout for victory here. Same could be said for Tom Freer. And have a look here at car 3, Dan Stevens. Have a look at who's 2 cars ahead of him. It's the orange machine of Ryan Jones. And don't forget we mentioned that Dan has put 5 sausage rolls on his paint to denote the amount of times that he and Ryan Jones have come together this season. They just haven't been able to leave each other alone on track. Dan will be looking ahead of him and going, oh no, here we go again. Ryan Jones is probably looking in his mirror and thinking the same thing.
Yeah, we should ship those 2 off to some kind of scientific research facility and see if we can't work out exactly how this magnetic force is so strong. We might be able to use it in some kind of way to save the global warming and the climate change, and maybe come up with some kind of renewable, never-ending magnet battery of some kind.
Oh man, we could solve the world's energy problems in a flash. Well, plenty of energy being generated by the intensity of the racing out here. The safety car will undoubtedly be pulling away from the field in just a couple of seconds' time. We'll be able to get back to racing. Fortunately, we'll be able to hopefully get a bit more racing in this time, because the race has a 20-minute time limit.
Safety car will be in this lap. And hopefully we don't get a chance to see it again and we can get a good final 10 minutes of racing. I'm looking forward to see how these positions behind Bo Albert in the championship shake out, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where the AM class goes again with Matt Morris, or whether Shane Bowen can try and respond after his unfortunate issues tonight.
Safety car in pit lane, and now Bo Albert has control of the start. So once again, it's a game of when do you decide to put the power down, and with a very short run to the start-finish line, you haven't got much time to decide. Bo Albert could go just before Murray's corner, he could go at the apex, he could go just after, as Kobe Williams has done a couple of times already tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Green flag flies, and we're away. Looks to me like Williams has managed to stay in touch with Albert off the start-finish line. And Dan Stevens now will be watching keenly as Ryan Jones and Eddie Beswick fight, and Beswick goes almost into Craig Anspatch there. So now Stevens and Jones fighting over 11th and 12th. Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The top four are very close coming into Griffin's Bend. Kobe Williams in the slipstream of Bo Albert moves to the outside and is going to try and take this around the outside of Griffin's Bend. They just avoid making contact with each other as the field sides on through. Looks like Ryan Jones also made a move, and that was very close there between Merritt and Freer. Tom Freer taking the wide line into the cutting, try and get an exit that will put him in touch with these guys as they come across the top of the mountain. It's bumper to bumper now between Williams and Merritt, and trying to sneak through on the outside was Tom Freer. A little bit of a bump paid to that, and that has brought 5th place Hayden Veld right into the thick of this battle.
Yeah, it's
oh no, Stevens, he's off. Oh, and Sebastian Flock joins the party as well in a massive way. Okie dokes. So that wasn't due to contact with Ryan Jones, we should point out. Stevens thought he could try and go to the inside of Anspatch, but Pat Oliver was up as inside as John Merritt has faced a big issue. His engine is smoking on the way down the hill, and it looks to me like this was an issue in the dipper. He lost it by himself, just a bit too wide of an exit, got caught up on the curb, and around he went. Here's the replay of what happened to Stevens. 3 cars coming together there. Stevens turned in, but Pat Oliver was just on his right rear quarter. And that's a difficult position for Stevens to be in. Keep an eye on this replay, because Sebastian Flock is going to come sailing in very shortly. Stevens at a standstill, and Flock hits the inside wall, smashes right into him.
I don't know.
Another change for the lead.
Oh, and it looks like Sam Lehman, it might have been, is off, and there you go, and you see John Merritt off into the wall as parts of that front end would be stricken all over, as it looks like we've got a move on for the lead again. No, it looks like Albert's...
No. Albert was behind Williams.
Yep.
Albert was behind Williams coming into the chase, and now he's taken that position back coming into turn 1. Matt Morris, meanwhile, works his way past Craig Anspatch, who has been right in the thick of a lot of the issues that have been happening here.
Speaking of working your way through, if you have a look at that timing table, Ryan Jones is now in P1 in the AM class for this race. So he's had a sneaky good race or two after starting from basically the rear of the grid in race 1.
Stuart Ellis has picked up a ton of damage somewhere. Obviously involved in another incident down the field, and he is very slow as there goes Tom Freer into second. Kobe Williams now back down to third place. He is joined now by Matthew Hansford-Taylor and Hayden Veld. Hansford-Taylor getting past Veld at some point as well. Josh Fitt trying to defend here from Eddie Beswick as Ryan Jones loses that position to Beswick, and now Matt Morris and Ryan Jones are together for the AM class lead. They are side by side on the way into McPhillamy Park down Metal Grate. And this next turn is McPhillamy Park proper. Matt Morris gets back into the AM class race lead.
Yeah, he just pushed his way through there. And...
Oh, no! Oh! Okie dokes, that's Josh Fitt that was sent airborne. He's requested a tow from race control. Eddie Beswick tried to get up the inside of him in Skyline, and there was no room for that move to be made.
Yes,
Here's what happened to... Who is that? Callan Arthur. Spin on the exit of the cutting. All right.
Roberts managed to give himself a little bit of a gap here, but Kobe Williams is pushing Tom Freer along in the background. It looks like they're going to make up that gap. That is nose to bumper through the kink as they come down into the chase. And relatively smooth sailing for these front sort of 3 to 4 cars, but as we're going to take another look at a replay, this is Josh Fitt. And it looks like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, there was no way Beswick was going to make that move, unfortunately. Race control probably won't look too kindly on that. So now, Kobe Williams has gotten back past Tom Freer, back into second place. But Bo Albert with quite a lead at the moment. Will they be able to overcome him as there's just under 5 minutes to go? Dear. Hold on to it, guys. Hayden Veld taking avoiding action there. Tom Freer coming together with Matthew Hansford-Taylor and immediately on the blower to race control for that one. Race control's been working incredibly hard here tonight. Veld slots in ahead of Hansford-Taylor as they get into Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, it's just one thing after another. It doesn't seem like anyone can keep to themselves tonight, but they're going to continue on anyway. And again, nose to bumper, trying to do anything that they can to try and stick with Bo Albert, who's starting to put himself a little bit of a gap with Kobe Williams on top of this 3rd and 4th position battle between Veld and Hansford-Taylor. And it looks like they're going to play fairly this time around because they know if they don't work together that they've got no chance of catching these two up front.
Oh, that's a good run there. Oh, Albert's trying to hold on to it here. I don't know if he'll be too happy with that attempt from Williams. Fortunately, it didn't end in one of the cars going off. But Kobe Williams has shown that he is very interested in getting 3 from 3 race wins tonight. And there we go. Drive-through penalty assigned to Eddie Beswick for the contact with Josh Fitt. And it looks like we're hearing that Matthew Hansford-Taylor is being told to redress the position to Tom Freer for the contact that they made. And have a look at that. Williams is quite good on the straight line speed. And if I'm not mistaken, which I probably am, looks like Bo Albert has a tiny bit of damage to his front right, though that could just be the light and the pattern of the livery playing tricks on me. Either way, Albert is not going to let this one go.
No, I think you might be right. There's quite a few scrapes along that right-hand side of the car. Oh, and there's someone off in the background at the chase as well. Thankfully, they've managed to rejoin safely. So that'll bring us 2 laps to go in this one. And hopefully that means we're going to be able to get a green flag run to the finish, as we see Ryan Green currently up in P20 after starting 37th this race. And he was also off at the chase and did manage to rejoin us. We've still got a pretty compact field as they come up Mountain Straight over the crest and down towards turn 2. And it looks like Veld and Freya are going to swap positions.
Oh,
into turn
no!
2. Oh.
Hansford Taylor just redressed the position to Tom Freer, and he's immediately put himself back in trouble with race control. Hayden Veld getting sent into the outside wall at Griffin's Bend. Things are not going well there, and it looks like a black and orange mechanical black flag for Hayden Veld as a result of that incident. So there is Hansford Taylor on the bottom doing the position redress as they come into the corner, and then he immediately switches to the inside. Veld was giving Freer the position, and well, there you go.
Looked like he might have just clipped the curbing, which made him run a little bit wide at the apex point as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure how race control's going to take that, but my suggestion is probably not all that well.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Well, here's the battle for the lead.
Freer's around as well.
Well, Matthew Hansford Taylor assigned a drive-through penalty, and yeah, these two are pushing incredibly hard up at the front. Will Bo Albert be able to deny Kobe Williams a 100% win record in this 5th round? Not for the time being, because despite that slipstream, despite going past, Williams still rather close and will likely be able to draft straight back by. Bo Albert is going to have to be in... he's going to have to be second coming out of Forest Elbow if he wants any hope of taking victory here, I reckon, Braden, because Comrade Straight's long enough that the draft will work in his favour.
Yeah, just going to have a look here. An incident between Isaac Edwards and Aidan Coote as they come through McPhillamy Park over to Skyline side by side into the S's. We know that never often comes out well, and you can just see Aidan Coote clipping a little bit too much of that inside curb and bouncing his way over onto Isaac Edwards. Again, not something I think that race control is going to be too fond of, as we see Bo Albert leading us up Mountain Straight for the final time for this series of the Toyota Summer of GR86.
Indeed. Position redress ordered for car number 80, which is Matthew Boylett, ordered to let the 777 of Pat Oliver back by for failing to leave racing room a couple of laps ago, and Kobe Williams got very close to the inside wall at the cutting there. But Williams is doing the right thing. He's keeping himself in second place so he can get the slipstream down Conrod Straight. Meanwhile, this fight is looking incredible. Matt Morris has gained a few more overall positions there over Ryan Jones, Rob Bowden, Hayden Veld, Tom Freer, Jones, followed by Sweeney, Anspatch, and Hins. And Hins has gotten past Anspatch in quite a spectacular fashion there, coming through Reed Park. Not too sure how many more positions Hinsey will be able to gain before the end here. We keep our eyes on our leaders, Albert versus Williams, and that was a bit of a wiggle there for Kobe coming out of the dipper. Hard on the brakes, down into Forest Elbow. Just touching the inside wall was Bo Albert, and now he'll be looking over his shoulder. He will see that Williams will have the slipstream here. Let's see how big of an effect it is coming into the chase. Williams will undoubtedly get by here, but Albert might have another chance at Murray's corner. Williams pulls out, gets the move done. Now, what is Bo going to do? Doesn't send it up the inside at the chase. The only other time he'll be able to get the move done here is coming into Murray's, but Williams will go immediately defensive here. Who takes the final race victory of the season? Albert is not happy there with Kobe Williams' defending. Going to try the over-under here, get a better exit, but it's not going to be enough. Kobe Williams takes 3 from 3 at Bathurst, but Bo Albert, with those finishes, is your champion for the Summer of GR86. Matt Morris is going to come home in 6th place and take the AM Class victory once again, and that is going to be the AM Class championship for him too, I imagine, as we get our final finishers coming across the line here. Very close racing indeed. Looks like that. I think that's John Merritt, who's made his... No, it's Sam Lehman getting past Shane Bowen right at the drop.
I'm exhausted, Reese.
Me too.
I don't know what else to say about that race. There was a lot of side-by-side, a lot of contact. There was safety cars, some ambiguous driving decisions. But here we are at the end, and it is Bo Albert who takes the pro class victory. And although he didn't look too enthused with the way that final race ended, I think after the first round, if you think all the way back to the start, he'll be probably pretty happy with how the rest of the season went.
Yeah, I think he will too, especially considering Bo Albert didn't come away with any points back in round 1 at Rudskogen Motor Centre. So a brilliant comeback there for Bo. One of the drivers who was the class of the field this season, and Kobe Williams putting up a great performance himself there to take all the victories here tonight. So that brings the AOG Summer of GR86 to an end. The drivers are getting their final debrief from race control before things come to a close, and looks like Kobe Williams might be gearing up here for a run at the old Bathurst jump. There's a bump in the gravel trap that sends you sailing over the fence. Here we are. Jump cam. Is this successful? Whoop. Yeah, it looks like he landed it. He did. And he managed to keep going as well. That was a perfect execution. Well done, Kobe Williams. Looks like there's more drivers coming as well, Braden. Let's see what kind of rating these drivers get.
Seems like it's a pretty good combination of speed and car size that these cars are making it over the jump pretty easily. The last few times I've done the jump has been in a Formula Skip Barber, and I can tell you it does not go as smoothly.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah! Love it. Fantastic.
Funnily enough,
sailing.
not the first time we've seen a few cars on their roof tonight.
Yeah. Oh, man. I wish we could say it's the first time, but unfortunately, them's the brakes. That's a... Oh, that was almost a good landing from one of the drop bear cars, but the suspension oscillations put him out of whack. And he's going to be spinning on his roof all the way down to pit entry. Goodness gracious me.
Oh, so close yet so far. I think we've seen Tyson Broad in that exact same car position at one other point tonight.
Well then, looks like that's it for cars taking the jump, and that means we can go through the results. Kobe Williams from Bo Albert by 1/10 of a second. Lachlan Capel rounding out the podium. Great recovery from Lachlan after the unfortunate running in race 2. Matt Morris 4th on the road, an AM class winner. He is the AM class champion. Rob Bowden and Hayden Veld separate Morris and Ryan Jones, with Bailey Sweeney, Thomas Hinz and Tom Freer rounding out the top 10.
Last spot on the podium for the AM class is Craig Anspach in P11, with Pat Oliver, Matthew Boylett, Matthew Brunt, Sam Lehman in 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th respectively. Shane Bowen, who had a very up and down night tonight, in P16, with Eddie Beswick, who was out the front for some of the night, but unfortunately finds himself back in P17. Josh Lane, Ryan Green and Matthew Hansford Taylor round out your top 20.
21st place went to Aiden Coote, a loss of 10 spots there. It's a loss of 12 spots for Tyson Broad and a loss of 21 spots for John Merritt after a mistake coming out of the dipper. Dan Stevens finishes in 24th place, with Gavin Barber, Isaac Edwards and Callan Arthur making up that 4-car chain of AM class cars. Stuart Ellis, Josh Fitt and Ben Holiday. unfortunately not making it to the finish on the lead lap, and it's a similar story for everyone behind Braden. That was a very chaotic third race that put many drivers out early.
Yeah, the longest race of the night saw the least finishes home, which is a bit of a shame. So Gavin Ninnis, Joshua Thomas, Max Christensen, Jorgen Smith, Sebastian Flock, Chris Barnes, Patrick Harding, Isaac Nichols, and again, Liam Hines, all off the lead lap. Well, brings us to the end of the series, Reese, and we definitely saw some great racing throughout, but I think it will be a little bit of time now to get a couple of interviews.
Indeed, as we see Isaac Edwards trying to help Tyson Broad back onto his wheels, and unfortunately unsuccessful. As we check out the rest of the jump attempts here, we bring in round winner Kobe Williams. Perfectly executed Bathurst jump from you, Kobe, and in terms of race results, a perfectly executed night. You must be happy.
Yeah, it was definitely some awesome racing tonight. The guys at Eclipse SimSport made a good setup, and it was definitely a big help to the night.
It was definitely a matter of planning when you make your moves, aside from all of the chaos that happened out on track, reducing the amount of time for racing. Being in second out of the elbow was definitely what defined a lot of those battles.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely had in mind sit behind him and wait to the last lap because the draft is so crucial in these cars. So just waited and got the move done the last lap.
Indeed. Well, definitely a good season there from you from the last few rounds, but I certainly hope that we get another GR86 series soon. Are you hoping the same?
For sure. Pretty fun cars, especially around tracks like this. Definitely makes for good racing.
Well, big congratulations to you, Kobe. We'll leave you to celebrate your round victory here. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Just the guys at Eclipse SimSports made a great setup for the round.
Well, there's Kobe Williams rounding off the Summer of GR86 with a round victory at Bathurst, and we can bring in as well Matt Morris, who has just been newly crowned AM-Class champion. Well, Matt, it seemed like it was almost falling out of your hands in race 2 with a good result for Shane Bowen, but unfortunately Bowen running into his own issues in race 3, and you were able to keep it clean.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was clean, but I I finished the race. Yeah, I don't know. There was something going on tonight. The cars felt really weird. Like you'd probably see it. Like a lot of contact, but I don't think there was actually contact like in the way that should spin cars and stuff. So hopefully in an update, iRacing fixes that. But because they're brilliant, fun cars to drive.
Yeah, they absolutely are quite fun. Did you expect the round to be as chaotic as it was, considering those issues and you know how tight and cramped Mount Panorama is?
Not given the way the last 2 weeks have been racing. Like the last 2 weeks have been brilliant, and I thought everyone probably found their new car and that they found their groove and sort of getting used to it, and all hell broke loose. But yeah, I was getting a lot of stutters and stuff like that too. So I think there was something going on with the server. I think, but
Well,
it is what it is. It's one of those things. It's the sim world of the problems of the sim world. The real world, you get car problems. In the sim world, you get connection issues and hardware issues.
yeah, that you do. Well, either way, we send our congratulations to you, Matt, for a great season and taking the championship in that AM class. Who do you have to thank for it?
I'd just like to thank the guys that put it on, and yourself and SimSpeed for broadcasting it. Yeah, it makes these things a little bit fun. You can sit back and watch them. Yeah, besides that, that's about it. Daniel Yeaman for putting it on. Race control, obviously. It's probably a pretty boring job and a lot of work. So yeah, just those guys, and obviously the guys that show up and race.
Of course, that's Matt Morris there, AM class champion in the Summer of GR86. And speaking of the pro class, we can bring in Bo Albert, who, despite not winning any races tonight, still had enough points in the bag to protect the championship lead and come away with the title. Must feel good, Bo, after the unfortunate way that round 1 ended for you.
Yeah, the season definitely didn't start off too well with a big... I think I ended up with a 3-point haul out of Rod Skogan, which was very painful with the pace we had. But, I set up VIR You know, I don't know what the championship can bring. You know, I'll do my best and see if we can make something happen towards the end. But just kept chipping away at the races, just trying to be consistent with points. Obviously had an internet dropout at Watkins Glen as well, which put me on the back foot. But through a lot of adversity, we managed to pull off a championship. So I'm very, very proud of that one.
As you should be. Coming through these races, you were obviously far away from all of the chaos that happened, but you know, getting as little racing time as you guys did, that must have changed your approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it changed everyone's approaches, really. There was a lot of very aggressive moves and dive bombs and everything, so everyone was racing really, really hard. So from my perspective racing today, I had to be very careful because obviously I knew I just had to keep banking points and I could lock the championship away. So I was probably a little bit more passive than I normally otherwise would have been. And then in the third race as well, I decided to not be passive and bonk a wall, which hurt my straight line speed. But yeah, it's very aggressive racing, and I mean, that's what these cars do great. And obviously, I've done endurance racing in this car as well with the Raw 24. That's fun, but these cars just specialize in the sprint races. They're so much fun. With the draft, they're always a pack race, so always an exciting finish.
Absolutely. And that final race finish between you and Kobe Williams, that was a titanic battle between the two of you. Could we have your thoughts on that one?
Oh, it was a great battle. Obviously, like I said, I bonked the wall and gave myself a bit of damage, so it probably wasn't as exciting as I wish it could have been, because I was losing about 4 kilometers an hour in the straights, which normally doesn't sound crazy, but in this car, that's like a crazy amount of, probably about 2% of the car's total straight line speed with how little power it has. So on that last lap, I did what I could. I pushed really hard down the hill to try and build a bit of a gap, but I always sort of knew I was going to be a bit of a sitting duck. And he got past me easily down Conrod, but he overshot a tiny bit into the chase, and I thought, oh, we'll have another crack, see if we can get him to the final quarter. And then he sort of just moved across and pushed me off the circuit a little bit, which was a little disappointing, but at the end of the day, it's hard racing, and just got to take that sometimes.
Yeah, that you do. And how's the team situation looking for you at the moment? Obviously, you're a privateer now. Are you looking to stay a privateer? Do you feel like your movements are freed a little bit with racing for yourself only?
Oh, absolutely. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. It's because nothing against Altus, but I sort of felt like I sort of hit my limit there as a team driver. I felt like there wasn't much of a scope for me to improve, and also I just felt like I was sort of doing the same thing over and over, whereas now in this new approach to sim racing, doing everything on my own, I'm finding a new love for it. Obviously doing all the setups myself, getting to do the paints myself, and just managing what series I race in a lot more. It's a lot more sort of freedom, and it's a lot more interesting as well, because I get to sort of push myself to see how good can I be without any support from anyone else. And that's a fun challenge I'm taking on at the moment. And it's off to a great start, but you know, it's still very early in the year. There's plenty more challenges to come, and I can't wait to face them.
And we can't wait to see how you do in the very near future. Bo Albert, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank for your championship victory in the Summer of GR86?
Of course, a massive shout out to the guys behind Aussie Online Gaming for putting this series on. Obviously, when this car came out, I pushed quite hard to get this series happening, so I'm really happy it ended up coming to fruition, which is absolutely awesome. Big shout out to you guys as well for covering all the races as well. It's been awesome broadcasts. I've watched them all back. They've been highly entertaining. So I'll do a little plug for you. If you haven't subscribed already to SimSpeed, be sure to click the button down below. Check me out. I'm still a YouTuber. But other than that, yeah, just a massive shout out to all the competitors as well for a great series. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been indeed. I'm still a YouTuber as well, by the way, even though I haven't uploaded in a while. Bo Albert, thank you very much for joining us. We will leave you to celebrate your victory.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Well, speaking of the crew at Aussie Online Gaming, we are joined by the head administrator, Daniel Yeaman. And as we check out these final series standings, Dan, I've got to say that it was quite an interesting season. Let's call it that. Obviously, you guys had your work cut out for you in race control tonight.
Yeah, I think interesting is a fair word to describe. We definitely had great moments. I think the highlight of this season for me was last week's racing in Okayama, in terms of how that went down. Didn't have to bring out the safety cars, and we had something. I think we had our closest race results there of the season. Tonight we might beat that once or twice, perhaps, depending on how the finishes went. Because to be honest, I haven't had a chance to look and watch the racing happening. Because yeah, unfortunately, there's just quite a lot of stuff there to try and break down. And yeah, that will take a little bit of time for us to sort of figure out. But congratulate Bo on behalf of the admin team, able to keep his nose clean and do the job he wanted and needed to do there. So he is well and truly clear and comfortable as the Pro Class Championship. The AM Class Championship might be a tiny bit difficult, but at the same time with Matt's great performance in race 3, and given the fact that longer race, more points, Matt's pretty much, I think, got that pretty comfortably done, barring any final reviews, which we do have a fair bit to get through there.
Yeah, we do indeed. And let's talk briefly about what's coming up next for Aussie Online Gaming. Of course, the Porsche Series is coming back, and I'm hearing that sign-ups are about to open for a series start in about 3 weeks' time. What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you, well, about that much. It's correct. We were going to initially run this as early as next week with some earlier plans, but over Christmas, New Year break, we were sort of actually engaging a few possibilities, but they haven't quite come through. So, season number 7 of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup will return on Tuesday, the 21st of February for round number 1 of that season. We'll be running 8 races on a fortnightly schedule, so 16 weeks of calendar time to get through that full season. We'll be bringing back our usual Pro-Am, and Am driver classes to divide things up then, and we'll be locking in the calendar this week with entry forms and all of that social, all the information about the series out. So keep your eyes open for by Tuesday the 7th of February, hopefully maybe even next Monday the 6th of February. Keep your eyes open on our socials and our Discord for our drivers who are already in there to find out all the information about where we'll be going next when we bring back those Porsche Cup cars that have done us pretty well now for 6 seasons strong, Reece.
Indeed, that's going to be an excellent season, an excellent championship. I'll be on comms as usual with Ross Rizzo joining me in the commentary booth and Jay Kennedy remaining on production for that series. Well, we say our goodbyes here, Braden. Pretty awesome season, a lot of drama, a lot of close racing. I'm going to miss these cars for a while. I hope they come back soon.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that sort of closing statement. It's been a blast to commentate, many highlights and lots of good memories from this series, and can't wait to see what AOG has planned with the Porsche Cup cars coming up very soon.
Indeed. Make sure to keep an eye on the socials for that one. Thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Thanks to AOG for putting this series on. And we will see you next time. I'm Reece Gardner, Braden Martin with me, and Jay Kennedy on production. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, goodbye for now, but not forever.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.